Hi, my name's Owen from Square Blue, and this is just a quick tutorial on Google Analytics. So this is the screen you see when you first log in, and one of the most useful quick overview type of reports is this audience overview, and it shows you new users and users sessions, which is every time someone's on the site. So if I go on the site twice, that would be 2 sessions, and whereas users would just be like, I've gone on the site twice, but I'm just one user, so even though it's been there twice, it still only counts it as one. Number of sessions per user is obviously how many times I come on the site. Page views is how many pages I visit, and pages per session is how many pages I visit during that session. So in some cases you'll be okay with one page per session if you're doing like a landing page or a funnel or something like that, where you just go, I just want to fill in a form. But other websites, like perhaps like a news site, you would want them to read another news article after the first one, so you would try and increase the pages per session for that type of site. Session duration would be the time for each session. It's ideally you would want it to be like higher, I guess, because you wouldn't want somebody to come on there for 5 seconds and leave. That would mean that they're probably not reading your site fully, and probably not that interested in your content, or leaving a bit too quickly. Maybe your site loads slowly or something like that. And then bounce rate is they've gone onto one page and they've left without moving to another page. So sometimes that's a really bad thing. Usually you would want them to visit more than one page if you can. I can't think of many examples where there's not at least a purchasing page or some other page that they visit, so bounce rate should be lower a lot of the time. But if you are, for example, a news article, they come on, they read your article and they leave, it's not really the end of the world. What we'd be more interested in is the scroll depth of that page. So if they scroll all the way down to the bottom, then they've read all of the content, then you would say, okay, that's what we wanted them to do. You might still consider how you can improve that by adding call to action to another page or another article, or buy something or whatever, maybe some adverts, but either way, that's kind of what they all mean. You can see which language they've used. So ENGB is English from Britain, and ENUS is American. This is Chinese, French, Japanese, Portuguese, Brazilian, Russian, and I'm guessing this is Taiwan. So yeah, sometimes that's useful. This is our site, and we have I wouldn't say we have loads of American customers. We don't. We've not insured for it, but we do network with a lot of Americans, so there could be a reason why they would be coming to our site. And there's still potential to work with them. Anyway, for the purposes of making an analytics report to show to your manager or a client or whatever, you want to change the date to something more sensible. So we normally do it at least a month. So if I do 22nd of November, so that'll be 1 month. So you see it changes. If you're going to go back further than a month, well, first things first, you could compare it to the previous month, so that would show that. So as you can see, users and sessions are down, bounce rate slightly improved, session duration improved. Wow, session duration improved by a lot. But sometimes it might be better to compare it to the previous year, especially if you have seasonal variations, like in like it's Christmas period at the moment, as you can see by my jumper. If it was Christmas period for an e-commerce, you definitely want to be comparing to the previous year, because you know this is a peak period for a lot of e-commerce shops. You want to compare to last year rather than last month, because you know December's going to peak, and it won't be very fair to compare it to November. So think about things like that when you're comparing. If you are going to go back further, so say I just go back to January or something like that. In fact, say I go to, let's do a whole year, so I'll do that 2020. There you go, that's a whole year. In this case, there's a couple of really freakish peaks here as well. You might want to try and work out what they are. Normally what I would do is I would add an annotation if I find out what they are. But what I would do on this, the days don't really show us good information, but if you change it to week, it gives you a little bit more, and if you change it to month, it gives you a little bit, because it's averaged out, those peaks aren't quite as evident and you see a bit more difference, but yeah, this can make it a lot easier than the day. These peaks really take it out of context, but having it as weeks makes it kind of a bit easier to see if you're making progress rather than day. If you're trying to get a steep, well, not a steep, but an increase over time, you see that we haven't really got one. But if we wanted to, if that was our target, if that's what we were aiming to do, we would want to be seeing the increase over time, and it might be just a bit easier to look at it over months rather than the other way. If you want to save this, you export it as a PDF. That'll be the best thing to do, and then you can share that with your manager or anyone else. Or if you're making a report, at least give you the image you need to make that report. So you can take this image here. There's loads of other stuff here. If you're for just a simple tutorial that we're making, I'm not going to go through them all, but if you're doing troubleshooting, you might be interested in what technology they're using if you're a technical person. Geo would be their location if that interests you. Demographics you have to set up, but it can give you information like age and gender, which is useful sometimes. Sometimes acquisition is useful, so where did they come from? So we can see you've got social, you've got email, referrals. If you are going to referrals, sometimes that's useful. If you're spending money on other websites, you want to know which websites are referred the most. So here you go, you can see 12 came from jdausa.com. I know that I was a speaker there, so that's why that happened. Some other places that you might consider, how did they come from there, might be worth knowing. In some of these cases you might be able to invest more time or effort into those places, or money if it's an advertising thing, into those places. You've got Google Ads here if you need it, you've got your Google Search Console if you need it. Landing pages are kind of useful, know where people came to. So here you go, you've got some blogs or whatever. Social sometimes useful, campaigns are normally useful. Behavior, site speed is a useful one if you're a developer and trying to increase the speed. Site content is really useful if you're looking at landing pages, how do they came into the site, and exit pages, what page did they leave on. And site search is cool. It shows you, if you've set it up properly, it will show you what people are searching for on your site. So that can be useful if there's a missing bit of content that people are looking for. You could write that content and help your customers out, and perhaps help your Google ranking out. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I normally would start with this one if I'm just looking at improving rankings. This is a really easy way just to see quite a basic chart showing you whether you're improving or not. Okay, thanks for watching. If you liked what I've talked about today, please subscribe, please like the video, and please write in the comments if you want to know anything else that we haven't covered here, such as what does this particular report do, or what's the most useful report to find out this information. Just put it in the comments and we'll try and deliver a tutorial on that. Thanks.